Look at this brand new refreshed caliper. This side, however, I did run into a weird thing where the best mod for any EVO, like super expensive, and we're just wrecking like
some rally art collectible.
Exactly.
Today is a big day in the life of this EVO 9, everyone. We have big plans, including replacing the suspension, completely refreshing the brakes, and of course doing the all-important wheel and tire reveal. So you're gonna wanna stay tuned to the very end of this episode to see just how amazing this car is gonna look. And I don't think you're gonna be disappointed. I'm so excited to see how it all looks in the end. And here come the giant, what I assume is OE shock and spring combo. The big old Bilstein inverted damper by the look of it, PT.
Wow.
It's pretty impressive.
EVO still always impresses, man.
This thing weighs a metric ton though, and obviously does not have ride height adjustability. And here we go. These are our Annex Fast Road Pro setup, and they're like half the weight or maybe even lighter than that really bulky OE setup. Interestingly, this is one of the first cars that Annex ever made a coilover kit for. However, because they'd never done a wagon before, and Grant was at our shop scanning Connie Salika, he took the opportunity while he was here to scan this car as well. So he did like super detailed 3D scanning of all the wheel wells, which allowed him to then calculate the motion ratios, which then allow him to choose spring rates and damper curves to go along with those spring rates that suit this chassis perfectly. And he did find that the wagon is significantly heavier in the back than the sedans, so it does actually use a different spring rate and damper setup in the rear of this wagon versus, say, you know, most other coilover companies, you're gonna go get a kit for an EVO 8 or 9, you're gonna end up with a sedan setup on your wagon. This is actually a wagon setup, which I think is super rad. One other thing that Grant mentioned to me when we were chatting about this kit's development is that he designed it for a flat ride. As the name would imply, it's designed to really limit the sensation of body motion or body roll. So like through the corners, there's gonna be excessive body roll, but it's still gonna deliver really good ride quality. So it'd be really interesting to try this out once we've got the car fully dialed in and see how that feels.
Take it, the previous owner or the owner before them did not really care about the interior of this car because look at this, they cut this massive hole here to either be able to adjust the suspension that was on this car previously, or because they got lazy and didn't want to take this whole panel off to get to the nuts that hold this shock in here. And you can see as well, there was holes cut here for a strut tower bar. It just feels very un-Japanese, DP. By the way, I just noticed this outlet here for 12 volts that you could plug into, maybe to, you know, pump up your tires or something, but this certainly is ahead of its time. These days people are putting this, or companies are putting this in, you know, trucks in the back and wagons, and now look, Mitsubishi had it figured out all along back in old 2005. And that, in a nutshell, is the extent of the suspension mods. As you can see, we put the hard race adjustable lower control arms on here. These are gonna allow us to adjust camber in and out, and we've got the toe arms as well, which will allow us to adjust toe. Toe was adjustable on this car. However, I like having those arms. They're nice and fresh. And if you're looking to buy any of this stuff, Stage 4 Motorsports has all the hard race stuff in stock with a 5% discount and $125 off NX suspension with the code below in the description. So make sure to check that out. You can see we are missing a caliper here and the brakes are quite worn. We're gonna be doing something about that in one moment, but before we do, I need to clean this area up here, and you will understand why when we put our wheels on. Let's just say they don't have center caps and we want this to look proper. So I got a wire brush on the drill here, and I'm gonna do my best to clean this up as good as possible, just to get the surface rust off, really. So you can see this is nicely cleaned, prepped, and we are going to be using some VHT roll bar and chassis paint, and that is because that's kind of what I have, and I think it's gonna be the most durable. So you can see, just gonna give this a quick little blast here, and we are gonna do the same for the front as well. A little bit of black paint here is going to go a long way when you see the wheels. And what you saw is I just ended up rolling the rear fender here, and that is because the wheel fitment is just a tiny bit tight. These EVOs can have like nice concave wheels, but the rears do need a bit of a roll, and the driver's side went perfect. It is just like so good. This side, however, I did run into a weird thing where I don't know if there was a little bit of stuff that was fixed back here because it wasn't rolling very well in the middle. And now you can see it's like there's a pinch weld that was here, and it almost like collapsed a little bit of the sheet metal here. And in doing so, like, it's not bad, but it's just enough where you can see it that I think we're gonna have to call a PDR guy in to just give this a little pull and, you know, kind of bring it back a little bit. I think that's going to be the case. We are moving on to doing a brake upgrade, and even though these Brembos are amazing, the Mitsubishi and Subaru like 4-pot Brembos are perfect. They're very adequate for, you know, 90% of the people that are using these cars, even for track use. However, as you can see, they do fade out, and they have clear coat that just fails. You can see it's falling off, and then you just have a caliper that looks, well, kind of disgusting. So look at this brand new refreshed caliper from Detective Coating out of Richmond, Virginia. I always send my stuff to those guys because they know what they're doing. They refinish properly and they're fast. So thank you guys for getting this over to me very quickly. Here's a bit of a pro tip. I'm ready to pull the caliper off. The brake line is hooked up into here, and usually as soon as you break this loose, you're gonna have this line that's going to start dripping and leaking and drain all the fluid out of the brake master. However, you're gonna see here, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna get a large surge of fluid that comes out right now, both from the caliper and the line, and then it's just gonna stop. And that is because what we've done is we've depressed the brake pedal, and we're using a brake stopper. So the brake actually is all the way down, and in doing so, what it does is it kind of like pushes the seal past the master, so there's only a certain amount of fluid that'll run out of it. You can see, look, and this isn't dripping. Like, this will stop dripping here, and then that's it. You're not gonna get any leaking. So now you can kind of like take your time doing this caliper swap rather than like rushing and trying to get the other one on, and this fluid constantly drips. So it's actually a pretty good tip. You do need, you know, you can use a piece of wood or whatever to push your brake pedal down. We kind of have this like nice tool for it. We are also saying goodbye to the factory rotors. You can see these boys are well worn. Got a nasty little lip on the side there and there. Replacing that stock rotor, we have a PowerStop Z23 Sport Upgrade brake kit, which consists of this zinc-coated rotor, got some cross-drilled and slots in it for that performance look. The kit comes with the sport pads that are carbon fiber, everybody. Now I'm gonna have carbon fiber in my brake pads. They are a carbon fiber ceramic, but they're obviously gonna provide us with better stopping power, but they're also good for low dust, which is nice. And the kit also comes with brand new hardware, as you can see right there. So I'm gonna punch those back in, but now look at, oh, how refreshed and good does that look? It's a mighty fine brake upgrade, and I know some of you are gonna ask, why didn't I paint around this area where the rust is? Well, when I originally masked it, the rotor was on and I couldn't get there. But don't worry, when the wheel is on, everybody, that rust does get covered up. So it's safe, it's just cosmetic right now. Instead of splurging on a bunch of exterior mods like front lips, side skirts, you know, that kind of stuff, I decided to put my money into what I think is the best mod for any Evo. The 9s already look so good. I don't think they need much other than, bam, everybody, a set of Evo 9 MR headlights. These are the JDM ones, so they're a matte finish in here, and I think they are going to finish the look of this car so nicely. For those of you making this upgrade, you will need to move over, as you can see, your HID ballast and the actual like igniter, which is down here. So that may pose a problem for some of you that don't have HIDs. I think some of the Evo 8s came with regular halogen ones, but as you can see, this one is set up. So in this scenario, because this is a JDM car, this is literally a plug and play solution. These truly are the holy grail of Evo upgrades. Man, do they look good. Now for the bumper, I'm not gonna be doing anything other than what I did is I took all of these grill pieces, these mesh parts, to our buddy JP over at Stripping Tech, and I had him powder coat them, because if you guys watched the previous episodes, you'll know that these were in really bad shape. They kind of had some like minor rusting going on. They just didn't look good, and this is a great way to refresh them. If you buy these, you can buy them new still. They are mega expensive, so this certainly is the way to go. You can see they look mint. Gonna really refresh this bumper back to what is, I think, almost like new. Look at that. All of the mesh refreshed, looking brand spanking new. They even polished that little Mitsu logo. I was thinking about painting it black. I was, but you know what? I was like, there's a little bit of chrome in the headlights still.
Yeah.
So we're gonna leave it, and
not to mention charge pipes.
Yes, you are correct. You are correct. We are. Man, DP, that is looking excellent. Let's just close the hood here for one split second and admire those JDM MR headlights. Man, aren't they perfection? A wise man by the name of Ben Lin once said, Advans are always the answer for Mitsubishi Evos, and I have listened to his advice, and he's 100% right, everybody. Advans are the answer. These are a set of Advan Racing RG4 18x9 plus 25, perfect Evo fitment in my opinion, with a whole lot of concave and this satin black finish that is going to look amazing. Just gonna match the theme of the car, I think, so well. What I really like about these wheels is they are flow formed, so they're not crazy expensive like the forged stuff. And they do have kind of like all of the racy little details, like these little cutouts here, these machine cutouts. And for a set of tires, well, you guessed it, we have gone with a set of Continental Extreme Contact Sport 02s, our go-to summer performance tires, great in the rain, awesome in dry conditions, and pretty good on the racetrack too. We love them. They are fantastic. They come with a whole bunch of great features if you sign up for their Total Confidence plan. So you get like warranty in terms of like getting flats or roadside assistance, really a compelling package. Get yourself a set of Contis and support us as well. So that's our pitch for that.
As you can see, we've got the Evo on the ground now, and by ground I mean our BG Racing wheel stands. They're all nice and level, which allowed us to dial in the ride height. Spent quite a bit of time doing that, but as you can see, it looks perfect now. And man, these wheels on this car look so good. I mean, is there anything cleaner than an Advan wheel on a JDM car? I don't think there is. It just looks amazing. So now that we've got the ride height dialed in, and we've bragged about how good the wheel and tire setup is, it's time to do an alignment. And for those of you who are curious about it, the first step is to set up your stands and get them all level. We actually use a laser device to set them all to level. And once you've got a perfectly level platform, then you can really dial in a very accurate alignment with this string system. So by measuring out from the hub on each wheel, you get the string the same distance on all four corners away from the hub so that it's perfectly square. And then you can start to take your toe measurements at the front and the back of the wheel. And of course you can come with your camber gauge as well and take your camber measurements. For you DIY guys, you can set up a string box at home really quite easily, just with like jack stands on the ground and a string. You know, get a piece of conduit with string that runs down the side of the car. I actually used to do my alignments at home with that exact method. And I would use like linoleum tiles on the ground to create a flat platform. So it can be done very affordably and very easily. There's some great information on the internet about it. And of course, there's even a course about how to do this on HB Academy's website. So you can check that out if you're interested.
One of the other sore spots on the front end here was this vent that comes through the hood here. You can see it is now refinished, just like the other pieces from Stripping Tech, and it looks really good. However, what I had to do is I actually had to peel the rubber trim. You can see right here, this rubber trim that goes around the edge, I had to take that off to send it off to powder coat. And now I have noticed that this was on double-sided tape. And for Dave and I to sit here to try to like take all this double-sided tape off and then try to put some double-sided tape down just doesn't seem like a worthy cause of manpower, time, and effort, really. So I've got some urethane here. Of course, this is dried up, like it always does. I don't know, I just don't know if some of the stuff, if we just keep it for too long, it dries up, but then you look at it, you just poke a little hole. And what I think I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna start taking a little bit of this. Oh man, this is thick stuff, actually. Oof. And then just laying it around the edge here. And then we're gonna stick that down. And this urethane, I'm pretty confident, is going to hold this in place. Urethane is on here, everybody, so there's no time to waste. Let's lay this on, push it down into place. Get the corner to go on. Stretch it a little bit. Oh no, there's a little bit on here, DP.
Ah, well, we can wipe it off.
All right, there you go. That's gonna look as good as new. Before we go showing you what this thing looks like as a whole, and man, it is looking good. We're gonna just take care of a small couple other things. The first being these little like door deflectors or little bumpers. And what I'm gonna do is, usually with these look like they've been on here for a very long time. I'm gonna give a little bit of heat. The more heat we have, the better in this scenario, I find, with this, because the glue softens and then you should be able to really like slide this off. Finish it off with this guy. Okay, looks like we're gonna have to bust out the polisher here real quick. You can see this has certainly been on here for a long time.
Yeah.
The glue's gonna come off pretty easily, but this, wow. Yeah, that is a real mark. Now to get this off, I've got a little bit of our Simonized polishing compound here and a wool pad. We could actually bust out the polisher, but I feel like I'm gonna be able to do this by hand, everybody. Let's see. Oh my goodness, look at this. It disappears within seconds. There you go, look at that. Just like new, DP. Holy smokes, if cleaning your paint was only that easy. Next up here are the wind deflectors. I personally, I don't know, I like them, but I don't because they're faded. And them being faded really, kind of doesn't make them look great. I do need to remove them anyways because we're gonna wanna take off a bunch of this like chrome trim here I wanna get rid of. But look, it's almost like someone had put, if you look at this is so weird. So look, this is the original like red tape that comes off. Someone had put this like to double add, I think, a little bit of thickness.
Maybe because of this chrome
trim, but you can see this stuff is so old. Oh man. A little bit of heat again. And this tape is coming off quite nicely. You can see underneath here, this is gonna be clean. So thankfully this isn't going to be a terrible job. I know it's a minute detail, but I'm sure some of you are wondering, how do you get these little clips off? As you can see, they are tight in there. And what I've realized is it's underneath the trim. So you gotta pull this whole trim out a little bit. Now you gotta push down in there and then bend it basically at this point, which is what I need to do. And then it should pop out. Oh, there it goes. You can see like that. So this piece right here just goes in there. So it's in there tight, but as you can see, you just pop it back together. And then we need to give this a good clean up.
So are you saying, PT, you don't want a mirror column on your doors? Like, who doesn't want to be able to see themselves?
I know.
As they walk up to the car and say, look how cool I am getting in my JDM car, bro.
Oh man. Somebody clearly did because they put this on here. Imagine if these were like super expensive, and we're
Yeah.
just wrecking like
Some rally art
some
collectible
exactly
item,
some
yeah.
collectible item that someone's put on here.
Oh, I'm sure someone's having a nervous breakdown right now.
So, I don't see any labels on this. Well, look at that. I love this look. I think it's like 100 times better. I know, the JDM purists love their wind deflectors, but for me, this is the way to go. Certainly post in the comments, are you a deflector kind of guy, or are you a clean kind of guy? In the first episode, I mentioned I wanted to remove this plastic trim piece here because I didn't like how it looked. However, some of you pointed this out, that there is an actual seam right here because of the, the arches from the sedan to the wagon. So this actually has to be here. If I did take this off, you'd see a nasty, ugly seam. So this is staying, and thank you for all those that made that comment.
Wow, this car looks so much better with a quick polish, and the paint was already in good condition, but I made a quick pass, as you saw, with Simonized Platinum products, including their dual action polisher, and it worked extremely well. So very pleased with the way this paint cleaned up. So I think it's now time to fully reveal this car.
This is it, everybody. EVO 9 Wagon perfection for me. Man, this thing turned out so good. I didn't expect it to look this good. As I said, I really do love the proportions of this car stock. So from we could have added a front lip. I know some of you guys are gonna be mad. We didn't put like an SC front lip on it or some aggressive front lip, but truthfully, I just love the way it looks. It is kind of that OEM plus. With the black wheels, the stance is perfect. Like the fitment on these wheels, 18/9 plus 25 with a 245/40 18 tire on here, just looks perfect. The craziness for me is the brightness of the rotors right now. Like these wheels are popping like crazy because of those rotors. They will wear in a little bit, but I'm glad I went with the red calipers. It's just like that one little nice accent on what is like a black and gray themed car. And I had to just show you guys what this thing looks like rolling slowly there. Man, this thing looks unbelievable. I am so pumped, and outside, even better. Inside the shop, it's always kind of nice with the lighting, but when you get it out here, look at this thing. It is just pure perfection. So I'm gonna leave you with some beauties out here, guys, but thank you so much for watching. We certainly appreciate all the support. In the next episode, we're not done yet. We've got dyno and a few other things to do, and then we're taking this thing on a ride.